Well, we'll get started. I'm very excited to join you all tonight. I'm excited to just share what to expect and plan for this upcoming school year. And so just a few, let me make sure everything is shared here. Okay. Just a few housekeeping notes. Please keep your mics muted. We will have a chat ongoing, so if you have questions, you can definitely write them in the chat. And then in the end, we'll open up the floor for a Q&A. And then as a reminder, the session is being recorded. And so if for whatever reason power goes out or internet is wonky, we'll be recording the session and then posting it online so that you can review and go back and check for any other parts that you might have missed. So, well, we'll begin with kind of an introduction of our administrative team. So I want to start off with our head of school, Mrs. Melanie Humanansky. She oversees our day-to-day operations at our school. And some of you might have met her with our interviews, but she is our head of school. And then we have Miss Angie Bailey. She is our Dean of Administration. And so she covers and handles all of our preschool and lower division. And then we have Miss Antoinette Colby. She is our faculty prefect, and then as well as in charge of athletics. And so if you haven't heard of what faculty prefect is, she handles all of our school discipline. And then Miss Nicole Kemp, she is our director of technology and academic program development. So she handles all of our iPads that the students get issued, as well as any curriculum that our school handles, whether online or textbooks. And then we have Miss Christina Stenholm. She is our guidance counselor, but she's also a really great help for all of our high school students. And so as they're preparing for college and thinking ahead in that way, she'll begin meeting with them and planning for that next step. And then we have Sarah Lockhart. She is our administrative assistant. And so she is usually in the office helping around, answering phone calls. And so you'll probably see her and recognize her face in the office. And then we have Blake Conley. He is our facilities manager. He makes sure and make sure that all of our facilities on our campus is up to date and good and ready to go. And then myself, the director of admissions. And then we have Marlo McNamara. She is our receptionist. So if you've called our office asking for a tour or had a question about our school, you probably have spoken to her. And then we have Allison Humanansky. She is in charge of all of digital engagement. And so she helps handle all of our social media aspects of our school. And then we have Maddie Valdivia, who handles all of our billing and scholarships. So any payments and billing and scholarship questions, you probably have talked to her. So. And then I want to talk a little bit about our school board and the chair of our board of trustees, the Right Reverend Kevin Donlin. If a school board is new to you, what our head of school does, she oversees the day-to-day operations, where Kevin Donlin really helps formulate and helps kind of think long-term as far as our school and what we're planning for in a macro level. And if you have any questions or wanted to reach out to him, he's available via this email. Alrighty, so for our office development, we actually have Holly Habimana on the call, and I was gonna see if she wanted to chat and talk a little bit about what her and Emily Stoops do as well. So Holly, you can go for it.
Thank you. Excuse me. I am so thrilled to see so many wonderful families joining today. My husband, as you can see here, and our little son in the background photobombing, Keegan, is going to be a third grader here at Bayshore, and he came in as a K4 student We moved down from Virginia during the pandemic, and I cannot say enough wonderful things about how we fit into this community in so many wonderful ways and what BCS has done for Keegan as a student, as a child of God, and certainly academically and socially. It's just been amazing to watch him grow. And so a couple of years ago, I came to Melanie and said, I love what Bayshore is doing for Keegan. How can I help? And be careful what you ask for and what you say, right? So I took on a part-time, very part-time role, but an important role when it comes to fundraising here at Bayshore, because that's what I do in my full-time job. So in my full-time job, I fundraise for an organization in East Africa, in Tanzania. And I've been doing this for a very long time, and I couldn't not put my skills to use for the betterment of Bayshore. So what many of you don't know is that your tuition does not cover the full cost to serve, essentially, of a student, of any student here at Bayshore. And we fundraise between the gap of what it costs to go to Bayshore and what the actual, costs are to really improve everything that we do year over year. And that includes 3 different fundraisers that we offer throughout the year as a way to tap into the community's hearts and wallets, both at our parents, our alumni, and certainly the community more broadly. And the first, we'll have 3 fundraisers. One is the annual fund, and we'll run that from October 5th, 15th, mid-October, through the end of December. So really capturing about 10 weeks or so of year-end giving. So if you're looking for a place to put your dollars and get that tax write-off, look no further than Bayshore Christian School. And then we have a wonderful gala that we all come together as families, get all dressed up and have a silent auction and a lot of wonderful other things that we, and of course, an ask and things like that. But it's a really fun night to celebrate Bayshore as parents, and no kids allowed. So, which is wonderful and fun to have a night out as a parent. And then the students do a fun run, and that helps support things like athletics and performing arts and a number of other professional development, things like that for teachers. So just to kind of recap, I am here and always willing to talk to any of you if you have any questions about that. It's one of my favorite things to do, is meet new people and share more about what Bayshore has done for my family and what I know that it will do for yours. So feel free to ask any questions you have. Thank you.
Perfect. Great. Thank you, Holly. All right, so just as a reminder, I know we talked a little bit probably about this on our tour, but our vision really is to shape young people in Christ to make an impact in the world. And how we're doing that is through this verse in Luke 2:52, and we say, Bayshore Christian School challenges, develops, and empowers students for leadership by following the example of Jesus to grow in wisdom, stature, and in favor with God and man. And then the verse for this year, which we're really excited about, comes from Ephesians 6:11. And it says to put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. Alrighty, so our Facts Family Portal, this is going to be your home base. So if you haven't already gotten comfortable or checked it out yet, I highly encourage just kind of playing around and seeing the different tabs and making sure that you understand the Facts Portal. They have a really great customer service, and so if you have any questions or if something's not working, you can always reach out to them via phone call or chat. With this Facts Portal, this is where you'll be able to view your students' grades as well as their school schedule. And then if you wanted to add any emergency pickup contacts as well, this would be a great place to do that. Or if you had a change in address or email, you can do that here as well. And then our learning management system is Microsoft Teams. This is going to be primarily for our 2nd through 12th grade students. You should begin to receive communication through your students' teachers about Microsoft Teams and how to use that and set that up. Similar to the Facts Family Portal, this is where their schedule and lesson planning and more of the fine detail of what they're going to be learning here at school. So while there is only a student login for this, we're more than happy to provide the password and username to log in. There currently isn't a family login side, so if you just needed the login credentials, we'll give that over to you. Communication. So this is going to be really key and important to just having a really good and smooth school year. One of the primary ways that we communicate to our families is going to be through our school calendar. And so if you haven't already, I suggest subscribing to our school calendar. I added the QR code on there. So if you want to take a photo of it and add that to your calendar, go ahead. And then our Facts Family Portal will also communicate through there as well. And then we also do text alerts. I'm sure that most of you got a text alert today about the reminder for this Zoom. And then we also do plenty of emails as well, whether it's through teachers or division coordinators, as well as school office. And then social media, I encourage you all to follow our Facebook and Instagram. You can find us at BCS Tampa. Alrighty, so our PTFW is our parent group here. It stands for Parent Teacher Faith Warriors. And what's neat about this group is if you really want to get involved in what our students are doing here, but it also really supports our, excuse me, our teachers as well. And so our president is Amanda Perez. And so you can contact her at the email listed. Their meeting is still, they haven't figured out when the meeting will happen, but they're probably thinking late August. They typically meet once a month via Zoom, but again, you'll receive more communication from her as far as when they're meeting. Oh, and then if you wanted to get involved with that as well, you can fill out a parent volunteer interest form on our website. Okay, athletics. So Miss Colby is our, she's in charge of all of our athletics here on campus. And so one of the two different ways you can get involved in athletics or your student can is either through TBCAL, which is Tampa Bay Christian Athletic League, and that runs for our 4th through 8th graders. And then our Florida High School Athletic Association as well, which goes from 7th through 12th grade. And so I recommend, if you haven't already, if your student is interested in playing a sport, to complete the sports physical. And then as well as there's required courses that a student will need to complete and fill out. We're doing all of that through Sportswear. And so that can be found online on our athletics page. And so if you want to play a sport, recommend getting started on that now, just because school's starting soon. Alrighty, so performing arts, Blake Conley is also our performing arts director. And so while the shows are yet to be determined on what they will be for this upcoming year, we have 2 different options. And so for our fall performance, it's typically our 3rd through 7th graders that put on the show. And then in the spring, our 8th through 12th graders also get to perform as well. And then we will be having signups at our open campus as well, and signups for athletics too. So with that, some important upcoming dates to put on your calendar. So with that, our open campus will be Tuesday, August 6th from 4 to 7. It's a good time to drop off school supplies, to meet teachers, socialize with your families. We'll actually be having a food truck coming, so come hungry and come excited to eat. And then Wednesday, August 7th, we will have preschool teacher meetings. This is a great opportunity to meet with your teachers one-on-one for preschool. They will be sending out communication as far as when to sign up for that, but you can plan for Wednesday, August 7th. And then, of course, August 8th is our first day of school. I'm sure all the students are excited and ready for that day. And then Tuesday, August 20th will be our lower division classroom orientations. And so we'll put out more information as far as preparing and planning for that. And then for our school supplies list, if you're looking on where to find that, that'll be on our family resources page under the admissions tab. All right, so pick up and drop off. So with our addition of adding a lot of new families and new students, we want to ensure a smooth and fast drop off period. And so just as a reminder, preschool and lower division drop off period is 7:45 to 8:15. And then our middle and upper division is going to be 7:45 to 8 a.m. And then let's see. If we take a look at this photo here, there is what we call our entrance gate or big gate. It's the one on the left corner. And so this will be where you'll enter. And then right up around the senior parking is where it'll split off into 2 lanes. And then you'll want to drop off your student either right before the crosswalk or right after for our preschool and lower division. Please don't stop in the middle of the crosswalk as we'll be having teachers walking in and students utilizing that crosswalk. And then for our middle and upper division students, they will be dropped off further along the line, closer to our red top area. And then as far as an exit, you can either use the exit by our office or through the entrance that you came in.
Okay, it's just okay.
Yeah.
The arrival. Mentioned this before, but our main gate does open as early as 7 a.m. for our before care. And then again, our preschool and lower division drop-off time is 7:45 to 8:15. And our middle and upper division is 7:45 to 8. And then supervision for our middle and upper division students begin as early as 7:45. Now for our Homeschool Plus families, this will only apply for you on Wednesday as that's when you come, but it'll be 8:15 to 8:30. And again, please, parents, remain in the vehicle. One of our staff will be there to open up the door and buckle your student and then take them on out. And so some other things to know is please no dropping off in parking spots or off of MacDill or somewhere else. Please utilize the car line for drop off. And really the only exceptions to this would be walkers or bike riders and our student drivers. And then our main gate does get locked at 8:15. And so please note that as you are planning and getting ready for the start of the school year, maybe budget your time and plan to get here a little bit before then, because by 8:15 the gate will close. And then again, students arriving after the scheduled start time must be signed in by a parent in the office. Okay. And then for dismissal, the main gate will then open again between 2 and 2:15. And for our dismissal schedule, we're looking at preschool and homeschool plus 2:30 to 2:45. For our lower division, it's going to be 2:45 to 3 p.m. And then our middle and upper division will be 3 to 3:15 p.m. Again, feel free to take a photo of this if you need this as a reminder or a refresh. And then if possible, please refrain from any early pickups between 2 to 3 p.m. as we're getting ready for dismissal. That parking lot really becomes a center of traffic for more vehicles, and we just want to eliminate as much as we can students walking around and getting picked up. And then similarly, if your child does need to be buckled, we just ask that you pull forward through car line and either find a parking space or an area that is not an exit so that other cars exiting the car line can smoothly leave. And so with that, right now, our before and after care is filling up. So I just encourage you all to sign up for our before and after school care. We do offer it for our preschool through 8th grade. And so our before school care starts at 7 and ends at 7:45. And then our after school care will start immediately after school and end until 6 p.m. Alrighty, with our student parent handbooks, this is a really great resource to just read. Remember, it is a required reading. And so I encourage you all to read. It's found on our website. It has plethora of information. And if you had any questions, most likely it'll be answered in there. If not, please let us know and we'll make sure to include that in there. We review them yearly, and so it's something that we definitely take a look at to see if anything needs to be adjusted. And so I encourage all families to read it. I know it can be a little bit maybe heavy in reading, but it's really important to know as it lists out our expectations too as a school. And so with that, with our student illness policy, I just want to remind you all that we ask that you notify the school via a phone call to the school office, letting us know if your student is feeling sick. We really don't want students coming in and sharing germs and getting other kids sick. And so if they're sick, please let us know and we'll mark that. And then if a student is at school when he or she becomes ill, a student will be cared for in the school office and must be picked up within 30 minutes of a parent notification. And so kind of what I was talking about before in that family portal of adding emergency contacts or other pickup authorizations, this is a good time to have those people in there if maybe both parents can't make it in time to pick up their student. And then a student can return to school with a physician's note for an excused absence or when symptom-free for 24 hours without symptom-reducing medication. And then all medications must be signed into the school office. And so if your student has an EpiPen or any other medication that needs to be taken daily while at school, that'll just be brought into the school office. Alrighty, uniform. I know I've got a lot of questions about these, and so hopefully this answers some of your uniform questions, and if not, we will definitely get those answered. But for our preschool, you can purchase the preschool t-shirt in the school office or at the open campus on the 6th. Those t-shirts are $10. And then for our kindergarten through 12th grade, that is all bought through Land's End. You can find the specific requirements for each grade and male and female as far as what needs to be worn. And then with our spirit days, that will typically either happen on the Friday of the week or on the last weekday if Friday is off. And so we typically will have different pop-up spirit stores throughout the school year. We might be having one, I'm sure we'll be having one at the open campus where you can buy t-shirts for your students to wear on those spirit days. And then for when the weather gets a little bit chillier, our outerwear for our kindergarten through 12th grade students is Land's End, and that will be fleece only. And please label these. They get lost frequently. And then when they're found, they're not labeled. And so they're pretty expensive. And so just label them either in the tag or somewhere inside just because you don't want to lose them. And then we will have some used uniforms available as well at the open campus and then further along throughout the year. They are just limited in sizes and styles. It just depends on who brings them in. But we'll have them at our open campus so you all look at. And then this is important. If your Land's End order hasn't arrived, just let me know. Send me a confirmation of the order that you got. And then that way I can notify the teachers so that your student doesn't get written up. But from that time on until you get the uniforms, they can wear any generic uniform that you find at Walmart or Target. So lost and found. we have a lost and found that we put all of our uniforms or other things that we find here on the campus. And so this is something that we go through pretty regularly and quarterly. So if they're not picked up, it will be purged here at the end. And then if a student wants to come and look through the lost and found, they just need to come to the school office and ask. So with lunches, Marlo is a great point of contact in getting that set up. But the two options for lunch is your student can either bring in their own packed lunch or they can order a school lunch through the family portal. Please note that for ordering through our catering, it must be put in the Friday before the next week, and it has to be put in by noon. And then just something to note, meals from home should include the necessary utensils, food that doesn't need to be reheated unless it's for middle and upper division, as they can use the microwaves. So just something to note for your students. And then if a student is without lunch for the day, the school office will not notify the parent, but a replacement lunch will be provided at the parent's expense. Great. So volunteering, we ask that all families complete at least 4 volunteer hours per family per year. And then families receiving financial assistance completes at least 30 hours per family per year. Now, just to note, this does not include scholarships that are under Step Up. This would really be anything through financial aid. And so if you have Step Up or education options or any other scholarship that you're receiving, this would not apply to you. And then for our volunteer policies and opportunities, you can find this on our website. And then as well, our middle and upper division students are required to complete 5 service hours per quarter. And so they can reach out to their division coordinator or Bible teacher for more information about that. Which leads me to field trips. So when you do sign the enrollment contract, this does include permission to transport your student for a field trip. However, this does not mean that you won't be notified about an upcoming field trip. You will definitely receive notification via email from the teacher. And so for our kindergarten through 5th grade, they typically participate in 2 to 3 field trips per year. And then with our 6th and 7th graders, they go on a really neat experience called Nature's Classroom Institute. This is an overnight trip, so just something to note and kind of be thinking about and preparing for if this might be their first overnight trip. And then our 8th graders take a great trip to Washington, D.C. I think it's amazing. And then our 9th through 12th graders do a retreat and then missions trip as well. And all of those are overnight. And then all of the retreat or field trip costs will be billed through fax. Which leads me to billing. So Maddie, if you want to go ahead and talk a little bit about billing and invoicing through fax.
I would just love to talk about money. So the I'm pretty much done with all of the payment plans. So chances are you've started to get invoices, you've gotten your curriculum fee invoices. Those were due on July 1st. If you're a newer enrollment, those are billed at the time of enrollment. So you may not have seen that yet, but just some general information about how we handle billing at Bayshore Christian School. We are a cashless system. We also don't take checks. Every once in a while, there might be an exception just depending on the event where, it just makes more sense to do that. But in general, we're always going to be either using a credit card. The school has a Venmo account, which we sometimes use for quick things. I don't know if we use that anymore. We used to. Or we will keep the orders that we're taking at a particular event like Open Campus, and then I will go through and add those to your fax account. So that's why it's important to have that all set up and to have your financial account correct in the system. Especially for new families, I know the whole system can be a little confusing at the beginning. Trust me, I understand. And I do also know that what you see as parents is very different from what I see on my end. And sometimes it makes a little bit more sense on my end. So I love it when parents reach out to ask for clarification because I can help you find that. Again, on my end, it's super clear, but whenever we add charges such as, let's say your child forgot a lunch and we're adding that charge, there is never a way for me to charge immediately anything in fax. There is always a built-in 10-day window. So that always gives you an opportunity to receive that emailed invoice, scroll all the way down to the bottom. That's the next point in here. Their emails can be, it's a lot. It's a lot of jargon. It's a lot of, information. They want to make sure that you're getting all the information that you need. But we also want to make sure that at the very bottom is where the description of what the charges are going to be for. So if it's an SAT test or a field trip, that information will be there available for you. We do also have a prepay snack bar account. So you'll notice when you go into your family portal, you click on financial on the left-hand side. You will see all of that information. You'll see your balance. You can click add funds. I did note here, don't use the prepay lunch account. It will give you two options in prepay, snack bar and lunch. That is not how you order a lunch, by adding funds to the lunch prepay. Now, if you've done that or if you accidentally do that, that's fine. I can move those funds for you. I can move it to snack bar. I can really move it to any account. I can move it to your tuition if you don't have anything else to do at the moment. So, and just so you know, anytime we're talking about a service agreement, we're talking about your tuition payment plan, which is different from your incidentals. So tuition is going to be, well, in the service agreement, it's going to include tuition and any account service fees. That will also house anything that's going to be paid by any state scholarship funds. So just so you know, that is separate from incidentals and fees. When you change your payment information, that things happen all the time throughout the entire year where either your card was expired or you lost it or something like that, and you need to update your payment information. Just make sure you're updating it in your service agreement, but also in the incidentals, because they can hold two separate financial accounts. Also, if you wanted to pay two separate ways, you could do that as well. If you need assistance with anything related to that, please reach out. I know that dealing with children and dealing with money are two very sensitive things, and we deal with both of them. So we want to make sure that you're comfortable, and we're looking forward to a great year. And back to you, Bianca.
Great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Awesome. And so moving forward, I want to just touch on this aspect of our Matthew 18 principle. If you haven't heard of it, it comes from Matthew 18, but this aspect of really going to one another if a conflict were to arise. And so I'll just kind of read through this, but we just ask that everyone follow biblical principles and speak the truth in love when expressing any disagreement or resolving a problem. And so a student or parent should really speak to the individual specific person first if something were to come up. If the situation wasn't addressed or resolved, then we then ask you to speak to the appropriate division coordinator. So if for lower division, you would reach out to our lower division coordinator and so forth. The next step would then to either reach out to Mrs. Colby or Mrs. Humanansky. And then we just encourage parents to really teach their children how to resolve day-to-day issues and help them guide in this process. It's something that we still have to learn and carry throughout as adults. And so something that we really want to be taught. And then if you have any more questions about that, our civility statement is located in our student parent handbooks as well. Well, that wraps up our orientation, or at least what I had to share. We're excited. Welcome.